дорого, по клиентам. Мы аренда цены эту площадку, там 8 тысяч стоит. Он говорит, стоит 4 тысячи.
8 тысяч? Это не считая тренировок?
Ну да, если просто...
Получается аренда? А нет, в смысле, без пресса?
Здравствуйте, Селя.
Добрый день.
Сейчас, минуточку, подождем, когда все подключится.
Ну, я пришел, мне вызывала подруга Криса. Она когда находит, там Алия была. Я слушаю.
Ну, раз научится, то
Только месяц видел, бесплатно. Вот только там утром все равно что закрыто. Ну, мне прям понравилось. Там убиваешься больше, в зале, чем за 40 минут. Да. И самое главное, что весело.
Ну, вот, да, наверное, весело проходит, и даже не осознаешь, что ты спокойно понимаешь. Мне на танцы нравится, поэтому я 4 класса встретила. Вчера на 4 класса.
Ну,
я нет.
Добрый день. Ждем остальных. Всем добрый день. Давайте еще минуты 2-3 подождем остальных.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. Sally, you can tell me when we can start, who we are waiting for.
Yes, can we wait just for 2-3
Absolutely.
minutes?
Yes.
We're
Let
just
me know.
waiting for other.
Sure.
Диана.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Alessandra.
Good morning.
Just a second. Okay.
Anna, hi.
Hello. Can you hear me, Alessandra?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Because I had everything was frozen.
No. I can perfectly hear and see you. How are you?
Very good. It's very dark and raining, but I see you have sun.
Yes, I do. I had to cover it a little bit, actually.
Yes.
But it's also 10 in the morning. You are in Berlin. Where are you?
I'm in Berlin, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Здравствуйте, девушки. Здравствуйте, Ольга.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте, Аселя. Всех вижу. So we are waiting for someone, right?
No, I think we can start.
So everybody's there? Yes, Saule is asking to enter. Да, Сауле удалось впустить?
Да, сейчас.
И, наверное, уже все, я думаю.
Она сейчас присоединится, может, мы уже пока начнем?
Okay, I'm just here to welcome Alessandra because I know her since many years and she's a very, very talented and experienced professional in this industry. I'm happy that she accepted to do this for us, and I know it will be very informative and interesting for you. So I'm very glad and thank you and welcome from sunny Italy to us. I'm very glad also to see all these beautiful, wonderful girls. So that I realized that, you know, most of the people, I think we wanted to do it in English, it was important, and we really wanted to do it for people who want to become producers. So I'm happy, you know.
I think we lost Anna.
The screen is not moving.
Вот служебные записки.
Alessandra,
Yes.
I think we should start.
Okay. If we manage to have her back, Anna, we will ask her to continue her speech. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this workshop. I'm very happy actually to get the invitation from Anna and Asel because I was supposed to be in Kazakhstan actually. Our first plan was to do it on site. Unfortunately, this is not possible, at least for this edition. We plan and hope to be able next year to continue this path because we all see this as a first step for growing of professionals and training initiatives. Today and tomorrow we will have more or less a couple of hours at our disposal. I will tell you more about me. I will tell you more about lecture. We will start in a softer way today, in the sense that today the idea is to give you a lighter overview of the industry and specifically speaking of the chronology of the development. So what a development of a project is. Tomorrow we will focus a little bit more, so it will be a little bit tougher, probably even a little bit longer. But my aim is to let you go after this couple of days with more information that hopefully you can use for your projects. I know we have several level of professionals. I love the fact that we are all women because I felt that the industry needs women power to do that. So I really appreciate that a lot. And I would like to ask you to do a very short introduction of yourself. I have the CV of some of you. I've read some application, but I would like to hear your voice and to know a little bit more about yourself. Just a few words about what you're doing, what you aim for, which is your role in the industry, what you're working on in this moment. So feel free to jump in and to start the round of presentation. Who wants to start?
I think Christina.
Yes, please.
Not a problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Mikhailova. I'm just a young director, and I'm here to listen to you, Alessandra, new information about producing, about maybe cooperation in producing and directing. And for me, it's very important because I'm mainly focused to develop my now projects to international festivals, international co-production, and I'm really interested in it. So thank you that I can be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Next one.
Hi, everybody. My name is Intizor. I'm actress at the moment, and also I'm writing a script. And of course, I want this script to become a movie. So that's why I'm interested in this workshop.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think I'm next. My name is Alessandra Pastore. I'm director, writer, and producer. I have one feature and 3 short films. Now I'm working on my second feature film. Well, thanks for this opportunity. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Estelle.
Hello, everyone. I think I would be next. My name is Diana. I'm 25, and I could say that I'm an assistant of producer. So this field of international market is very interesting for me because I think it is very important to know how the international market works from the inside, because a lot of producers from Kazakhstan, I think young producers, they do not know this process, and when they think about how the feature film or short feature film become famous abroad, they need to know all these details from the inside. So Alessandra, I would like to thank you for taking your time and sharing your time with us.
Thank you, Diana. Who is missing? We have 3 people without camera. Maybe they can jump in also with their voice. No? Okay.
Yes, I get him. I don't know. Yes, it would be great if you present yourself, right?
Me?
No, I'm talking
okay. Sorry.
the girls. No, to the girls.
Yeah.
Okay. The new world is different, right? We are trying to make it work online, so.
Yeah, but that's fine. Maybe they're just connected, but not really listening or something. I mean, these online events, you never know, but no, but that's fine. And when and if they show up, they will be more than welcome to say a few words about themselves. Okay, thank you for sharing your profile. I have prepared some slides that I hope that could be useful for you and make it easier for you to follow what I'm saying. As I was mentioning, we will be softer today, so the idea is to give you today a general overview and leave for tomorrow the toughest part, in the sense that more technical things. I will start with me. I work in the audiovisual industry since, I don't know, 15, 18 years now. I'm starting with what you see here, Maya Workshops, which is a training program for producers. So I've been working in organizing training and teaching to emerging producers on international level. It used to be a training, it still is a training for emerging professionals who are kind of a little bit experienced in their own countries, but want to do the step in the international market. I have created on a more local base LAND, Local Audiovisual Network and Development, which is a network among professionals, because one of the most important part of the audiovisual industry is the network. So to get in touch with people, to know them, and to be sure to share opinion, advices, projects, of course, and to be updated on what's going on in the industry. My actual main job is When East Meets West, this green yellow logo that you see. When East Meets West is a co-production forum, so I basically work for markets now. It's a co-production forum that is held in Italy at the end of January, meaning that we accept project, it's a pitching forum, we accept project in development. It means that projects that have not yet gone into production, so on set, and we try to push and help them to look for co-producers, to sales agents, potential festivals. My second hat in terms of market, it's currently Meeting Point Vilnius, which I lead. It's another market, but it's totally different from When East Meets West, because it's not a co-production market, it's a work in progress. It means that our projects, the project that we select, have already been shot somehow or are almost closed, and they are mostly looking for sales, distributor, and festival release. So we took those projects that don't need any more money, ideally. Of course, everybody's looking for money, but maybe they are missing a little bit of money, but they are mostly looking for to enter the market. What is the audiovisual industry? There is a common sense that the artists, the script writers, the directors, they just need inspiration. This is unfortunately totally fake. Of course, every film is a piece of art. But what you have to keep in mind if you want to work on international level is that everything is practice. I found this very funny picture on the internet that I feel it's kind of reassuming very well the problem somehow that very often emerging professionals have, in the sense that, of course, you need to focus on the artistic side of the script, but it's very important to know the rules of the market and to understand that you need and you have to follow some rules if you want your film done in a professional way. So basically, the starting point is cinema is an industry, and we have to understand and we have to learn to consider a film a product. This is the first step for us, basically. This is the first step that we that work in the audiovisual industry have to do to make us professionals and to be considered professionals from the other people working there. The market is one, and it's not even so big as Anna could confirm. But into that market, you really have several languages, in the sense that a producer who is, in my opinion, the key element to make the industry work, have to learn to speak with directors, but also with script writers, with sales agents, with head of funds, with other professionals, with other producers. So it's very important to understand that even if the market is one, you need to learn several languages. You also need to do it if you are a director or a script writer, because you basically need to find your space in the audiovisual industry. So it's very important that you learn how to talk with the producer, which are the roles of the different professionals that work in the industry. More you know the industry, more easier will be for you to understand the rules and to position yourself. So how do you choose your rule? That's very important. It's quite common for emerging professionals to consider themselves one-man show. So you will probably be your scriptwriter, director, and producer of your film. It happens. There is nothing bad about it. We all started doing several things and covering several roles, that's for sure. But it's not the best scenario, let's say, at least if you plan to do it in a professional way. So it's good that you try and test yourself on different positions, also because it's very common that some emerging artists, they want to be director or script writers, but they also have to know that there are several other rules that they can cover in the industry, that exist a lot of other professionalism that could be done and maybe could fit better for their profile. So even if you are somehow forced from the circumstances, from your local industry to be one-man shows or to do everything, it's very important to keep in mind to aim to one specific role. So what would you like to be? What would you like to become? Even if now you are forced to do everything of yourself. This will allow you to have your segment to fix, to work better, you know, in this segment. It's important to know the market, also to sell yourself and your film. We will see it a little bit deeper now. The point is that if you know how it works, you will have the tools to talk with the right people, to talk to them in the right moment, because it's not always the moment to talk with festival programmers, wholesale agent, or producer. You have to know when it's the good moment to sell, to propose that, to talk to them about your film or also yourself. It's very common to start with short films. This is good somehow because short films could be a good platform to start with, and there are usually two ways to approach the short films. Most of the time, to do a short film is a way to, it's a first step for a long feature film. Sometimes it happens that people, they find themselves very well in the short markets, and they decided to keep working on that format. Both are very valid. Just be sure to do not underestimate the importance or the difficulty also to realize a short film, because it's not the easy part of a longer film. I mean, every film has to be done according to specific role. It has to be done in the best way possible. It's very common to do in, let's say, an independent way, short films. That's why Any Short at Any Price. Basically, it's very common that you do a short film when you are students, when you have, you do it with your friends. So it's fair enough. But again, keep in mind and try every time that you work also on a small project to do it in the best way possible. If you know, for instance, every single position in the set, professional position, it doesn't matter that you are doing that short film or that project with a group of friends. You will be capable to give them all information on what every position should cover. So you will be able also to do it in a kind of professional ways, also a very simple and small project. Feel free to stop me at any time and to jump in with question or also in sharing experience, okay? Which could be the criteria of a filmmaker. First of all, always try to have a good script. Again, it doesn't matter if it's done for a long feature film, if you're aiming to an international audience on international market, or you're doing a short film for your university. Always try to start with the best. good script, it's a basic point to have a good film. This doesn't mean that a good script means a good film. You have several things in the middle, but to start with a script that is convincing for you, first of all, it's very important, because it's very rare that with a bad script, you manage to correct the film and you make it better when you're shooting. So every time, keep an eye on the script. And don't forget, please, that you are not doing these films for yourself. Cinema, it's too expensive to be an hobby, actually, because a lot of people are involved, a lot of money, of course, also are involved in terms of equipment and also timing. So you always, even when you are starting with the development of your idea, don't forget that your aim is to find an audience that sees these films. So you are doing it for someone else, to transmit emotions, to transmit all the messages that you are urgent for you to tell, but it's never for yourself. That's why the first step is to know your project, basically. So try always to define the genre, the theme, and the subject of your film. This means that you don't have to close doors. It may happen that you start working on a drama film and you realize while you are developing it that it's becoming something different, basically. That's okay. That's part of the development. Ideally, it's also okay if you realize that this film is not really ready to be produced. And so one outcome of the development would simply be the fact that you're not going to produce this film. You're not going to shoot it because you have seen that it's not strong enough. This is part of the development. But to know at the very beginning what you aim to do, it's very important because it will be your path, it will be your direction, where you are going and what you're aiming to. One suggestion that is very useful since the very beginning, also if you're working on a short film or a small project, is ask reports on your script and generally speaking on your project. Reports means that you have to be able and to be capable to let your project go. I know that every film is like a baby, you know, so sometimes you need sometimes to keep it on yourself, to work on it, but at certain point you have to be ready to give feedback, basically from outside. The script, especially for short films, you can read the script to your friends, even if they have nothing to do with the industry. Sometimes it's even better when you talk with them about stories, because they are your audience, they are your potential audience. So ask report to your professional friends or your friends that have nothing to do with the industry. Could be a very good way to test your story and to see, is that strong enough? If you feel that your story is very, you know, it's very strong, it's working very well, is it exactly like this also for all the people who are reading your project? One more element is to have a strong storyline. Don't start, I mean, my suggestion is don't start writing immediately the script, work on step. The storyline, I mean, the main elements of your story. There is the full process, the non-writing process of the script, in the sense that it's very common for scriptwriter to talk a lot about the story before start writing. This is because it's very important to know your characters, to know how they are growing and how they are developing into the story, and which is the storyline of the story. Don't forget that when you sell your film, you are selling basically yourself. We will see it more deeply tomorrow about it, but basically all the short documents and all the dossier that the written documents that you will send to potential producers or potential partners in the initiative, in the film, they have to do your job while you are not there to defend your film, basically. So every time that you talk with the producer, with the head of fund, or with another professional, you are basically selling yourself, especially if you're at the beginning of your career. One more thing that we will deep in tomorrow is how a good dossier could be done. In any case, it's important for the people who you would like to have in your project to know you, because the production of a film, it's a kind of marriage at the end of the day. You need to spend so many years together with those people, and you need to be sure that you are on the same page, that you match and you click each other, and that you won't fight after the first problem. That will be absolutely, it's absolutely normal. That some problem will show at certain points, some funds will be cutted, some you will get some no's. So it's everything, it's part of the game. So it's how do you try to get in touch and to understand if they are the persons, if those persons are the right one. A note of intent could be a good way to let people know before they decide if jump into the project, who are you and which are your motivation to drive the film. So usually the suggestion is, when you write a note of intent as an author, as a script writer, as a director or producer, that you give a wider idea of what you are going to do and what would you like to do, even more than a story somehow, at least at the beginning. That's why note of intent, it could be a good suggestion to do it longer than a synopsis, but we will deep in again this tomorrow more in details. Money, that's the weak and the most important part of the production, in the sense that it's the most difficult one, of course. We know that without money, it's not possible to do to properly do a film, or to do it in the best way possible. So it's, I mean, the fundraising and the financing plan, it's something that we will not touch directly during this workshop, because it's a complex argument, and hopefully we will do it next year when we will have the opportunity to see each other. But basically, it's always good and it's important to have several plans. I wrote here just plan B, just to let you understand that even if you have the best script possible, the best director, a well-known actor, or anyway, you have, let's say, all the elements in their place to have a great film, you always have to have a strategy. And the strategy means to aim to the certain amount of money or certain funds that you would like to apply, but always think which could be the alternative. In the sense of money, of course, but also the film. It's absolutely normal that you would like to have, I mean, the first budget of your film could be a realistic one, but your plan A, so what you're aiming in case you get all the money. But just think about what could be a good alternative in terms of funds, in terms of financing sources, and also what could happen to the production of your film in case you need to put in place a plan B. So what could be cutted, which in which item and which element you can reduce, for instance. And again, choose which will be your position, what you would like to be in this film. The development. I will let you 1 minute read this, because it's much better for you to read it than to listen reading it. And this is the official definition of development for the European Union. I'll give you 1 minute to read it. Okay, basically, the development is the process that starts when you have an idea to do a film about one thing, about one character, about one person. and ends when you start shootings, ends on the set. There are several elements that intervene in the development, and everything is important. It's not only the development of the script, but it's a professional business, as you see from the very beginning of this definition. Basically, it has to be at the same time the development, the creative development, the financial and legal development, and the marketing, and also distribution development. Because don't forget, since the very beginning, you have to keep in mind that you are doing this for an audience. So it's very important to keep an eye also at the very beginning to the potential target audience. I don't know how much and who among you is familiar with the European funds or international funds. The main European fund, it's given by media, Creative Europe Media. And it's a development fund, so you have to demonstrate to do not have already the set there. And they are asking, even if it's early development, distribution strategies, production strategies, of course, development strategies, financing strategies, even if you don't really have the script. And just to give you the idea of it, you don't, it's good if you have it, but you are not forced, you are not obliged, for instance, to have a director attached. Part of the development could be the research of a director. What this means, basically, it doesn't mean the director is not important, of course, but it means that basically you have to start from a professional business point of view when you start working on a film. So you have to know that to change or to choose a director could be part of the creative process and business process. I will stop a little bit with the sharing just to see you. How do you feel? It's everything clear? I'm too fast, I'm too slow, I'm saying, I know that it's very basic. I told you I would like to start with very basic things, but I prefer, you know, to build on some steps. And again, don't hesitate to stop me any time that you feel there is something that could be, you know, asked. Okay, I will go back to the development. Okay, which are the professionals involved in the international market? Who is who? I focus mostly on three people, let's say: producers, distributors, and sales agent. We all are more familiar with director and script writer, so I won't tackle that. But it's very important to understand which are the role of these three people, because it's very, you know, it's a relationship, it's a very important relationship. And for you, even if you are authors, it's very important to understand what they do, and especially which are their criteria and when is the right moment to approach them. So let's try, of course, every producer has his own approach, every producer has his own way to work. So it's not, I tried more or less to list what could be the main important things, but keep in mind that everybody has his own taste, everybody has his own way to, you know, to work. So basically the producer is the head of the business head of the film. Means that he's the responsible person for, it's a kind of the director of the full project, not the film itself, but it's another way of directing. So it's business head of the film. And it's a creative person. Never underestimate the capacity of a producer to evaluate the creativity of a project. It means that the producers have to be able, of course, to understand if a script works or not in the market, starting from the script. It might not be able to write it. This is not the job that is required of the producer, because there are other professionals to do it, but he usually knows how to evaluate it. And it's, of course, starts from a personal test, but their criteria, their approach is this script working in the market? Do I have space to finance this script and to find, you know, strong support for other professionals, from other co-producers or professionals to realize this project? It's a businessman or woman, so has to do with legal, has to learn how to talk and how to deal with legal and financial issues. Is coordinator of the team. It means that you might remember at the very beginning, you know, one market, several languages. The producer is the one who needs to talk more languages than everybody, because they have to be capable to talk with the scriptwriter, with directors, and to make them talk and cooperate. Usually one of the most delicate part of the creative process that, you know, it's on the shoulders of producers is to let a script doctor in. This is very delicate because sometimes, you know, the script writer, if you inform the script writer that they need a script doctor, they can feel less, you know, less sure about themselves. They can start to have doubts about what they're doing and trust of a producer. So to be capable, but most of the time, you know, to have, for instance, a script doctor in a film is just a way to make it better. It doesn't mean that the scriptwriter is not good, because the script doctor is another kind of professional, you know, respect that script writer. But to coordinate all the creative part, it's a very delicate job. So, and it's very important that everybody respect the role of everybody else. If you know what a producer does and which is his or her approach, it will be easier for you as a scriptwriter or a director also to talk and to understand the motivation, you know, of a producer. Basically, if we need to give just one definition of producer, this is the owner or the rights of the film. It's, as you see, as a summary, basically, the role of producer is something legal. It's the person who has legal confirmation and opportunity to go into the market to talk about your project. So that's the main definition, basically, of producers is this one, the owner of the rights of the film. But how producers evaluate a film or evaluate the potentiality to produce your project? Again, I listed some ideas, then of course you can also let me know if you as a producers, for instance, we have some producers among you, if you feel that something is missing, if you have a different opinion, please let me know, okay? The first step is always the interest in the story and the project, of course. To drive your, as a producer, to drive your attention and your instinct to get in a project, it's usually the story. So it's a very artistic criteria, let's say. If there is a topic that is very disturbing for me, even if I'm the best producer and I have in front of me the best script possible, I will probably think twice if this is the project that I would like to keep working on for the next several years. How much work the project needs. So when are you approaching the producers? It's the early stage, you only have a subject, or you have a treatment or a script. So one of the criteria that the producers need to keep in mind is how much work and how much time do I need to invest. This is not that producers like to jump in at the very end, that's exactly the contrary, but keep in mind that being a business head of a company, a producers also need to put your project in a timeline of the company. So if they have, let's say, 3 or 4 projects already in development, probably is not the case for them to jump on another project in very early stage of development. So their no to your project could also be driven simply by the fact that, unfortunately, it's not yet, you know, the moment, for the good moment for him or for her to invest time and energy and also a little bit of money if needed, in the project. creative team. It happens very often that director or script writers, they approach producers saying, I'm the director, here is my script writer, I already have DOP and some other professionals attached. Okay, it could be good because especially if the creative team, if the producers have already been working together, so it could be fair enough. But sometimes it's better to do not close, let's say, doors. I mean, let also creative, don't forget that the producers has all the tools to evaluate the creativity and the creative level of your project. So give space to get advices from the producers. And also on the other side, it could be good if you have a team that have already been working together for several projects. So the producer is kind of feels kind of safe, knows that you have to, you are in good company, you know how to work together with the creative team. But it's one of the criteria. Again, not for yourself, but for the audience, a potential target audience. Every time that you tell a story to producers, they are automatically thinking to how to finance this film and how to distribute it, in the sense that, is there any space in the market in terms of audience and release for this kind of stories? If you are going, if you're bringing one story, I don't know, on a topic that is very common in this sense, and the producers know that there are the other 3 films. For instance, now I'm reading, it happens often to me to be part of commissions, of evaluation commission for funds. And I'm reading a lot of projects on quarantine and lockdown. And okay, do we really need so many projects, even if they are good ones, but the problem is, do we really need so many projects on the same topic? Is there any space? Is there any target audience for that? So this could probably be the moment to say, okay, we have enough projects that are going to be released. One in Venice, the other one will be in Rome, another one is in preparation and has a couple of big names attached. So if the small project, the small production company comes with another documentary on quarantine from all over, people that are shooting themselves from all over the world, probably this is not the moment to invest on this kind of project, because the audience will probably not be there for that. Of course, budget and financing plan. It's very common for creative teams, let's say for directors or scriptwriter, underestimate the cost of a film. So they are coming saying, okay, the budget of this film is X thousand euros. But a producer knows which are the rules, which are also the tax to be paid, which are the financial meaning to involve a potential co-producers, which will raise the budget, of course, and the financing plan. Now, again, this could be very basic, but you all know that the budget is how you spend the money. So all the costs related to the film, from the development, since the very beginning of the idea till the end of the shootings. The financing plan is how you intend to cover this amount of money. So which are the source of financing that you are aiming to collect, which are the for application that you're going to apply. And of course, more people are in the sense of more production companies are in, more the cost will be higher, because every producer has his own cost, his own people, and his own job, of course. So the evaluation of a budget or a the financing plan is starting that it's something that producers need to keep in mind. If a young scriptwriter or director is going to a producer with a film which is clearly going to cost several millions, I don't know, dollars or euros, and it's the first film of the director, it's kind of normal that the producer will think, okay, is this the right project to start the career of this even talented director? It might be yes, the answer, but of course the producer needs to think about it. And that's something that when you go to a producer and when you approach them, you have to know that it's something that is going in its mind. The financing strategy. Every time, again, that you are telling a story to a producer, they are automatically thinking, okay, where can I get money for this? If they like it, if they feel, you know, involved in it. But the point is, where do I, which door will I knock? In terms of funds, of course, but also in terms of countries. If I'd like to involve some potential co-producers from other countries, where do I go, and which is my strategy? Again, they all have plan A and plan B and plan C. Then there is the full letters that you can go through. But basically, everything has to be done according to a strategy. I mean, it should be done according to a strategy. And the market. Is there any market for this kind of story, for this kind of format, for this kind of project? This is something that comes from the knowledge that the producers have to have from the market. Okay. And the international potential. Okay. Be careful. To have an international project, you don't need to have people from abroad, basically. That's not what makes a film international or a story international. It's absolutely perfect to have a very local story, but said in a very, you know, intimate way somehow, in a very global way that could be understandable from everybody. So it's not question. You don't look for a co-producer in France because you have a character that comes from France. I mean, it's not always like that, basically. But the most local, the most intimate, and the most universal is the story. The more it will be, it will have international potential and will travel. Again, I will stop a minute. I would like to see you. Yes. What do you think? Do you have any question? Does it make sense for you?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Do you mean if story more local, it have more international potential? Yes.
Yes.
Local, but universal. Local, universal.
Exactly, local, universal. I didn't get the rest of it, but yes. Basically, I mean, if your story is strong enough to be understandable, even if you set your story in a very small village in the country of your countryside of your country, that's perfectly fine. There are a lot of, you know, small stories traveling internationally, but the story has to be universal. The way in which you tell the story, you write it, and you shoot it has to be universal in the sense that has to be understandable for everybody. Has to be capable. If your character is strong, everybody will somehow feel empathy with your character. And it doesn't matter that it's set in a place that I may not know. That is a kind of added value, because it will, you know, it will be even more important for me, even more good for me to know a new place, new set for the story. So I will know more about it, but I will know those people. I will know your characters, and I will be able to get emotionally involved with them. So I will be perfectly capable to follow the story and their emotion. So to make an international story, you don't need to have an international cast or an international character coming from other countries, or to travel in other countries. You have to be very honest with your story. You have to know very well your characters. That's the key element. So it's fine to have a very local story as long as the you know, the emotion are universal, and you are capable to tell what you're going to tell the story in the most universal way possible. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So the producer, basically, that's the idea on what is thinking a producer while you approach them. Less known people are distributors or sales agents. I try to put again, to list a few elements that can allow you to understand their job and their and how to approach them, basically what they do. Okay, distributors may be independent on some mayors. The mayors are actively working in production and distribution fields. You won't probably have so much contact with them, but again, it's very important for you to know all the elements of the market and to know that they exist and how they work, basically. They have a substantial library assets, usually studios facilities, worldwide scale. So we are talking about major, exactly. I mean, we're talking about big distributors, and very often distribute their own films. So they might be approachable, but usually they're not from independent production companies. But you have to know that they exist, because they, you know, they very often they take most of the screenings, basically, in town very often. What you usually look for your independent film is an independent distributors. They don't belong to majors. They also work, and mostly work with small movies, and they are not controlled by a broadcaster. Basically, you approach a distributor for your own country. The distributor is that person who brings your films to cinemas in your own country. So if, let's say, we have a co-production between Kazakhstan, France, and other countries, you will ideally have one distributor, one national distributor for Kazakhstan, one national distributor for France, and one for the other country. Okay, so they bring your film in the cinema of your own country. What you can ask them, what they do, they acquire your film in the sense that it has to be done, it has to be closed, of course. It happens sometimes that they like to follow your films, in the sense that it's not good to approach them when the film is already closed, because they might have some very interesting comments from some very interesting feedbacks. But in any case, they acquire the rights in your country, in the countries where they are settled, of your film. They financing it in the sense that they might be able to give a called minimum guarantee, in the sense that if they really trust your film, even if you are still shooting, even if you have not closed the rough cut, or you've not closed the post-production, if they like it so much that they want to be sure to be the ones who distribute your film in your country, they might advance you a little bit of money. They might give you some money to help, you know, the production of the film, to help to pay some costs. So in this sense, they can enter in the financing plan. They usually take care of dubbing or subtitling according to the countries where you need to double subtitle your film. So they ideally are in charge for that. And they are also in charge for the marketing of your film, in the sense that usually the producers works with distributors to create a marketing strategy, in the sense of the advertising, also the poster of the film, for your country, because they know the audience of their own country. They are very well aware of what could be catchy for the local audience, and they are using, you know, all these elements to create a advertising campaign for your films. And sales, I mean, and the sales of the film. Okay, it's clear what a distributor is.
Yes.
Okay, so basically they work in your own country. So they take your film and bring it to cinema in your own country. A different position has the sales agent. Let's go back to the co-production between Kazakhstan, France, and another country, ex-country. You might have 3 distributors, 3 national distributors, 1 for each country, but you can only have 1 sales agent, because it's a whole sales. It's the person who takes your films and keeps out your country if you are already a distributor, and has the rest of the world to distribute your films. Is the person who will sell your, or will try to sell your film on the international marketplace, meaning the rest of the world. It's kind of risico, you know. He has the full world, and he has to be able and capable to sell your film, to make your film travels all over the world. So he has nothing to do directly with cinemas, but he talks with distributors. Okay, that's why the sales agent is usually it's a name that normal people have never heard, and they don't really get what its job. And I can understand sometimes it's very difficult to understand also for emerging professionals, because it's not so common to you know, to have to do with the sales agent. But it's a key person, because it's the person that ideally knows the full market of the different territories, and knows where to position and when to put your film, basically. So it's not involved in getting film to public, because it has no direct contact with cinemas. Why do I need a sales agent? Well, because of the audience, basically. I mean, you can be fine with distributing your film in your own countries, but you always have to know that you have the rest of the world at your disposal. And the sales agents they know the international market. They know, let's say, the Asian market or the South American market. They know how and what they like, and how it's the good way to approach them. And usually it's they will advise you which territories could be good for your film, and they take care to sell your film. So they really travel a lot. Probably they are the person in the audiovisual industry with the highest number of travels, because they have to be in every single market. They don't really sell, don't really sell on each single nation, at least not in the world. They can do that in Italy, in Europe, but they have a perfect knowledge on what's going on in the full marketplace, international marketplace. So they can decide with the producer, of course, to create a specific strategy and to go to some Asian markets or to some American markets, because they realize, okay, this is the kind of story, this is the kind of film that can be could be interesting for that specific market. There are different kind of sales agent, in the sense that it's the same thing that you have a director which is mostly oriented on documentaries, you have somebody most oriented on animation. It's the same for sales agents. Some of them are more specialized in documentaries, some of them are more specialized in other kind of film. Sorry, any question? No, okay. So you also have to know who to approach. So they are not all the same. It's not that you can go to every sales agent and they sell every kind of films. Which are the rules? Okay, they represent the film in the trade marketplace, international marketplace. Again, they are responsible for the marketing. Never forget that it's something that they do with producers. So all the strategy have to be, of course, proposed by the sales agent, but they have to be agreed with the producer. So it's a different kind of market from the distributors, because the distributors that you might remember works on national level. They have to know the audience of that specific country. At the same time, in the same way, the sales agent, they have to be more aware of how to sell the film on a wider territories. Again, we may talk about German-speaking countries or Spanish-speaking countries, which also involve the South American. So they have to be capable to understand which would be the best poster that could work, you know, in these areas, and what could be more where to propose your film, because they also have to know, you know, the people to approach and how to approach them. They create a profile for the film. It happens very often that when there is a dialogue between an individual meeting between a sales agent and a producer, the sales agent asks to producer the ideal audience, not generally audience. So they don't want an answer like, my film is for, I don't know, 0.99 male and female all over the world. That's not a profile, but they really want to know the profile of one person. This is an exercise that we used to do very much in our training for producer. So they said, okay, the person who is going to go this evening to pay a ticket to see your film, what has for breakfast, which is his job, which is his age or her age, how and where they grown up in city, in countryside. So they start from a very specific target. And this is because they really need to understand the weak and the strong point of the film. Once you have clearly identified the strong points of the film and the weak point of the film, it's much easier, you know, to create a profile of the film and to sell it somehow. Produce sale estimates is the main, you know, the knowledge of the sales agent is exactly this one, to be capable to see a film and to understand, okay, this is going to work in this kind of market, or this is not definitely what, let's don't even try the North America because this film is not for them, for instance. And of course, it's not just a definition, that's not enough for a producers, and that's good that it's not enough. But they produce sale estimates, meaning paper with potential numbers and where they think they can sell the film, for how much money they can sell the film, and what they think could be a good strategy. Because according to this, they of course will do a budget, and they will deal with the producers for another series of financial elements. Again, marketing budget, in the sense that, of course, there is a kind of investment for the sales agents traveling all around the world. But if you decide with them that they need to go to 5 or 6 markets per year, usually there are much more, but just to give you an idea, you also, as a producer, you work on a marketing budget with the sales, just to understand which will be the costs that he will have or she will have, and the opportunities, of course, for your film. And again, minimum guarantee. Let's say that we are in the same condition of the distributors. They start following the films also in development phase. We have a lot of sales agents coming to our co-production market. They are perfectly aware of the fact that the project very often don't even have a script yet, because they are working on that, but they like to be updated. They like to know, to see the people doing the pitch, to see mostly the directors, because of course they are oriented also on the creative part, so they want to see the finished film, so that they need to understand if the director, which is the feeling the director gives them. And it might happen that they like your film so much since the very beginning that they are already doing you as to the producer a proposal, in the sense that they are advancing some money that they are sure will manage to get from the sales. So let's say they said, okay, I'm sure to be capable to sell this film for this amount of money. I'm not waiting to sell it, to share it among us, but I'm giving it to the producers. I'm giving that amount immediately. So it will be easier for you to cash flow the film, to produce the film. You have to look for less money basically, and you can focus on your production and go faster. This is called minimum guarantee. So they guarantee a minimum amount of money. This is not for free, like everything, in the sense that it's just an advance payment of what they were supposed to give you later. But it's very helpful in terms of financial elements, because it helps the production company. And it's very good because also for the other funds, because if the producers applies to a national or international funds of co-production, to have attached a sales agent means that they are sure, the people that evaluate your project, they are sure that this film will have an audience. So it's even better for them. It's a kind of less risky bet, let's say. So they are sure that this film will travel if you have a sales agent attached. That's why it's very important to talk with them, and since the very beginning, I mean, since the development phase, and to be to listen very carefully their advices and their feedback on your film. How to approach them? Homework. Again, they are not all the same. It takes a lot of time, I understand, to get in touch with them and to study, or the sales agents. Once you are in the industry, you start to know them better. You have big names, you have smallest names. Let's say that it's not always good for your film to go to bigger sales or bigger distributors, because even in case they said yes, you will be one among 100 titles probably. Very often, according to the kind of project that you have, the producers, they choose to go to a smaller sales agent, but they know that they can work easily with them on the strategies, and that the film will be, take care of in a better way. So you have to know them. You have to study what they have, what they are selling, and where and which kind of titles they have, to be sure that to make it simple, you don't go to a sales agent that sell documentary if you are doing an animation film. Of course, this is very banal and stupid thing to say, but just to give you the idea that you have to know them and know what they sell before approaching them. Timing. Don't wait till the last minute to go from them. This is because they need and like to be updated on the works in progress, in the sense that since the development phase, they might like one teaser or one mood reel that or your approach as a director, for instance, or the story itself. Of course, they probably won't be able to jump in project since the very beginning, but they will keep an eye on you, and you can go back to them when you have a rough cut, or you have some scene already shot. So it's a relationship also of a trust that you build with them, and every time they will give you feedback. Every time you should give strong value to this feedback, because again, they know the marketplace, and they will be able to give you some inside elements or advices that could make your film better. And don't forget that they need to sell the film, not to develop it, in the sense that it's true that you have to approach them when you are in development to have feedback, but they will not be, and it's not the case that will be your only the only person that you talk to ideally for sell your film later. So they are not really involved in every details of the development of your film. I will, now the weak part is where do I find those people, and how do I know who they are and where to find them? You have a link that, let me see if I manage to share it with you here you go. You might know Cine Europa. It's a portal, this one, of mostly European cinema, but you have a good overview of what's going on for films in terms of festival, but also markets. And here, you can see this?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Because I don't know what you're saying. I can see it just to be sure. You have here industry, and under industry, this is very interesting for you because, oh, I will manage maybe this movie. Okay, you have all those, nothing to do, sorry, the advertising is jumping, but here you have distributors, producers, and the sales agent. This is events, producers. For instance, if you would like to get a list of producers, mostly in Europe, you have it. It's a list, again, it's European, it's focused on Europe, but it could be a good starting point. And this is update on yesterday, basically. So you see they are very, you know, very active in updating it. You have names of producers. You can search it according to even there is somewhere mask also according to nationalities. And the same you can do with production company, with the distributors, for instance. You have it, you can also choose them by country or choose them by name if you want to know it. And you have links. So 20th Century Fox, it's a major, so it's something that we were telling it. But for instance, if you go anywhere, you have a link to the profile of the company with what they have distributed and with ideally official website. So this is, it takes a lot of time, and you have the same things for international sales. So you have again the list by countries. Don't forget that the countries of distributors is very important, while it's not important almost at all the nationality of a sales agent, because they are bringing your film to the rest of the world, so you don't really need it. You don't really need that they are based in your own countries, doesn't matter. And you have a list of sales agents in alphabetic order or by country if you might be interested. Okay, so this is a tool that I find quite useful, because especially if I have to check, for instance, which kind of film, I have a film and I would like to approach one sales. Let me see what they have sold, I don't know, in the last months, or what they are working on, which is their current catalog, and what could be, you know, good, if it's good for me and for them to get in touch now. So the homework part, it's exactly that one, to do research of people. You have also names there and contacts. So you will see that every company has a salesperson and acquisition, head of acquisition, means one person in charge to acquire your film, and another person that usually is responsible to sell your film. So you start talking with, ideally with the person, the head of acquisition, so the person who can decide if they like and they would like to acquire your film. And but again, there are several positions. There is a festival responsible usually in the sales agent company, a person with whom you will do, if they decide to acquire, a festival strategy. So which will be, of course, we all aim to Berlin and Cannes, but again, probably it's not always the plan A, or let's say it's not always the best place for your film. Sometimes they would be able to tell you, look, let's go for this smaller festival. You will have more chance to be selected. And it's good in terms of sales estimates. It could be more beneficial for your films if you have a specific title of a specific story. Is it more or less clear, the dynamic between producers, distributors, and sales agent, and their position, what they do?
Yeah, thank you.
Have you, I mean, did you know it? Have you, I think one of you have already worked as a head of sales and acquisition somewhere. I'm not sure if she's in. I got her curriculum, but probably she's not here.
Can I ask some question?
Yes, please.
As I understand correctly, decision about cooperation with sales agent and distributor makes a producer, yes? In the development stage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the producers has the you know, he's in position to choose or to approach distributors and sales agents. So everything goes through him or her. I mean, the producers is the person who decided, who does that kind of homework, basically. Who decide, okay, I will try as plan A to go to this distributor or to this sales agent. I will see what I get as a feedback. I will see if the project could be somehow interesting for them, and then I will decide if go on. Usually, don't speak just with one sales or one producers. Of course, you fix meetings with several people. Just for feedback, it's the same, you know, when we started this lecture, we said, get reports from your script or from people. It's the same things for the project. The producers knows that at certain point, they have to go out there and collect feedback and understand what is working and what is not working of this project in the market. So this is a way, you know, to talk with sales that could be, of course, ideally interested in the project or distributors, but also people who have the knowledge of the market and can give you some some right questions. You learn a lot from the questions that people usually do during the individual meeting, because you understand your weak points and your strong points. If in 5 meetings, every time you got the same answer concerning, let's say, a character, then you should trying to think, okay, I have a problem with the character, because if 5 different people, all professionals, even with different professionals, they're all asking the same things, probably this is not clear at all, even if I thought that it was absolutely clear and absolutely perfect. Or if a few people are underlying the same weak point, or are telling you, giving you the same advices, this is something that you should be able to evaluate and understand, okay, that's it. And that's something that it's, I really need to pay attention, because probably this is working or not working in a wider and in the global reason.
And one more. Okay, Diana asked.
Yeah, yes, I have one question. What is the best stage? What is the best stage of production of the film to find sales agent? I mean, is it development or pre-production, maybe production?
To contact them, it's development, not early development. It's much better, you know, to make sure to have at least a script. Some of them ask for scripts already, so it's good. It's always better to have a script, even if it's not the last version. But at least not the first one. So it has to be some documents that you are ready and comfortable to share. But from that point on, they will they want to have some visual material. So it's good to have a script and maybe a teaser, because especially if you are working with an emerging director, it's very important to give a first idea on what will be the film and the touch, you know, the creative touch of the director of the film. Because again, they will work not with stories, but they will work with your finished film at the end of the day. So that's where they will get money and they will sell it. So some visuals and the script that it's quite strong also for you. And from that on, you know, it really depends from your relationship from the sales agent. Some of them will tell you clearly, come back to me when you have a rough cut, not before. I mean, that's enough for now. I need to, they will probably follow you if they are interested, in the sense that if you go to other markets, if you pitch your film somewhere else, they will be there keeping an eye on which is the development of your film. But they can tell you, okay, in this case, I would need to see the finished film, even if it's not close, the rough cut, but let me see shootings, the real shootings. Some others may say, okay, once you have some more concrete, maybe one scene of the film, when your film is in progress, the famous work in progress that we were talking at the beginning, let's talk again. So even if you are not finished the shootings, even if you have if you still plan to do some days or weeks of shooting, but you have something that will be the film, so some scenes that could be used, I don't know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, let me have it. And maybe they will tell you, let me have it in advance. So let me have it before showing it to some festivals, to some markets. So they may ask you specifically to send them material before. So usually it's always good to go to them to have a first feedback in development. Also because they may be capable to have some advice on actors, for instance, is if in your teaser you have the actor that will be the person who will be the final actor in your finished film. You know, they are very useful and helpful in telling you this phase is not really working, so are you sure to use this actor or not? So it's very then it really depends from the people, but it's a relationship that could take you know, a long time. They might say no at the end. It's not a guarantee that they will buy the film, but for sure it will be useful for the development of the film. That's why you don't usually talk with one sales agent. You try to get several appointments, several meetings with them till the moment in which you said, okay, that's I mean, you might have a proposal for them, and sometimes, you know, the producers, even if they have a financial proposal, they have their ideal sales in their mind. So it might happen that they say, okay, let's freeze this proposal. I will keep it in mind, but I'm waiting also an answer from another person or another sales agent that in producer's idea fits better, you know, the profile of the film that they would like to work with.
Thank you.
And you find them in every market, in every market. They really are there. Maybe not always with the acquisition person, but at least one or two representatives of a sales company, they are everywhere. So it's, I mean, they are approachable, and it's you find them very, very easily in the market. Okay, so just to recap, which are the elements involved in the development? Because we are talking, don't forget, we're talking about development of a film. So much before shooting, you have creative aspects, legal elements, financial issues, marketing and distribution. By creative aspects, it basically has to do with authors, of course. Now you know with market, because you have all the co-production forum, and tomorrow we will depend this. Where to go to develop also the creative part of it, and the audience that you always have to keep in mind. Oh, that was very funny also. That's something that I find it, and basically how it works, the creative process, and all producers and people that have to do with the deadlines, they know that exactly like this. We all try to fix all the deadlines at the very last minute working on our applications. Legal elements. Again, we will not touch this because it's something a little bit more complicated, and ideally we will do it on site, face to face, but it has to do with the access to key elements. For instance, to give you a very easy example, let's say that you're doing a documentary on one person. The first thing is to demonstrate that you have access to this person. It has to do with agreements, and now I will show you a timeline and you will have more idea on how the legal elements are involved, again, since the very beginning of the production, of the development. And co-production, of course, everything goes under the legal elements. So when you approach another co-producers and you are ready to sign some kind of papers to try to produce your films, you are entering another legal phase. The financial issues has to do, of course, with the budget. So how much will cost this film? How much every single item will be? That can change, fine. But you have to have an idea, and you have to be capable to give an idea already in the beginning of development, if you are doing a 100,000 euros budget film or 2 million euros budget films. Attract a co-production. It's again a financial issues because you need to evaluate several elements in terms of countries, of costs, because of course, if it could be a kind of dream to have a co-production with France, you have to know that the expenses and the cost of France are much different from the ones that you may have in Kazakhstan. So the budget will be totally changed, of course, with the potential co-production with France. And financing plan, how to cover the full budget of the film. And marketing and distribution, which have a few elements that we will tackle tomorrow. So pitching and packaging. The pitching is the presentation, the oral presentation of your project, so verbal presentation, that it could be done officially in some pitching forum if you are selected, but you are pitching your project every time that you are talking of your project, also in individual meetings. Packaging, which is basically a dossier. So there are some papers that you send on or leave to potential people that could be interested or that you would like to them to read your project. And tomorrow we will see a potential scheme of a packaging. Festival and markets. Again, we will talk about it tomorrow. So festival, where you go when your film is finished and you aim to be in, of course, in competition, in a very good section of it, but it regards the film when it's already done. And markets, where you go to sell or develop your film. When you don't go to markets with finished film, basically, or you don't almost go there. So you have to have space for changes, and it's the place where you find partners, you find money, and ideally you find potentialities to distribute and to develop your film. Knowledge of territories and funds. Again, it's somehow part of the distribution. If you would like to, if you aim to have, again, sales agent or distributors of partner for specific countries, you have to know which kind of market has that countries. And how to work with territories. I was talking before, mentioning, the German-speaking countries or French-speaking countries, which involve also some African countries and or Spanish-speaking countries. So knowledge of territories could be, it's part of also for distribution, because it helps the producers and it helps you to understand better how to sell your film and follow with the sales strategy. And the audience, of course. I mean, who is going to see this film, and how to give them, more opportunities to see in as many territories as we can our film. I have prepared for you something very concrete, which is this is an ideal chronology of the development. It means that in an ideal world, which could be the right step and when to do it. This is a chronology in the sense that every step has to be done in ideally in the same way in this position. Keep in mind that has all the schemes that can be broken every time in the sense that every project is different, every film is different from the other. So it happens very often that even if you would like to follow, let's say, this timeline, you are forced to change things. And when I was working in production, we used to have on our paper wall, a paper with the potential timeline, and we used to change it, I would say, every week, because you hope to have an answer from a fund in that month, but you discover that it comes later, or you have a new opportunity coming, or you have a fund that says no. So this changes every time. But I hope that this will give you, and with this we will close today, we'll give you an idea on how the 4 elements that we have seen, so creative, financial, legal, and marketing and distribution, how these elements, they really are interconnected and they have to go at the same time. So the first step is, of course, the idea. You have the idea and you start doing your research. Keep an eye on the color. At the end of it, I put a legend, so you will understand which color corresponds to which element. But for now, it's just to let you know that the colors, even if you don't see it in a nice way, unfortunately, but they make sense. Okay, so you have an idea and you start doing research. So we are in the creative part, research on that idea, maybe with some help. So we maybe with some other people working on that. And scouting from script writers. Why I wrote this here? Because it happens very often that maybe are the producers to have an idea. It's not always like this, but keep in mind that it might happen. So this is a scenario in which a producer has an idea or read something that could be good to develop in a film and tries to build, the film. Of course, if the script writer is the one who has an idea, you might not look for another script writer, or yes, according to the fact that the author of the subject maybe is not the script writer itself and needs more help to write the script. Once you have a person, let's say that we have found a person that is capable to write, to develop the story, the first thing is a legal element. You remember the producer is the owner of the rights of the film. So to be capable to go out there in the market, the producer needs a piece of legal paper that allows him or her to go to market, to pitching forum, to festival, or to apply to funds. So it's important to have an option. There's a legal term that maybe we will have way in the future to dip in, but take it for now. On a book, if this is based, if what you are developing is based on a book or on a story, or a subject that the script writer or the author has written. So the first, right after the small research, you need a legal element. And start working on the development budget. Again, we are totally aware of the fact that every single step could change. Every single number could change in the sense that maybe it's too early, you still need some research, so it's not yet the moment to create to work on a development budget. But it's time, right after the idea, basically, it's already time to start thinking about numbers, to start thinking about what could be good, which costs should I foresee to develop this film. Then you ideally choose a script writer and you create an agreement for the script writer. You have scout for it, or for him or her, you have found the right person. It's the moment to ask him or her to write. And to do that, it's always good to make sure that you are both, you bind your relationship with legally with the script writers. And start working on concept subjects. 5-12 pages, take it like this. I mean, this could be much less, it could be much more, but again, it's just the time for the script writer to start working on documents that the producer can use to approach to some funds or to do some application. And start working on the development funds. So national, regional funds, this is according to the country that you are in, on the deadlines, of course, that you have. And keep working on the creative documents. So still the script writer who has to produce at this stage, further documents, creative documents. Again, numbers are just, an indication, just take it like this and don't feel blinded by that. When your film starts, when your stories start to have a shape, it's probably the right time to start thinking about potential audience, in the sense that it might be good, especially if you're planning some specific campaign, it might be good, start working on social, start telling people that something is boiling And you can do that most of the time when it comes, when the topic is very hot or cutting edge, or a documentary on something that, for instance, you need to follow. If you are aiming to do a documentary on, I don't know, Olympic Games, you have a deadline, and it's good to probably let people know that you are working on that. So this could be a choice. But again, we are not talking about director, you have noticed. We are not talking about script yet, but we are already thinking to involve people and make them know what, be interested in your potential project. And to have a first draft of the script, okay? After you have applied, ideally have applied to a national or regional fund where you, for development, you usually don't need to have already script. Because the development funds, they cover also the costs of a script, okay? And when you have, this could be also done earlier than having the first script, but when you have an idea of the development budget, when you have an idea of which direction your story is taking, it could be good to start going to markets, to start testing your film, your project out there, to see which is the reaction basically of potential partners. And it could be, we were discussing before, the good moment to have a first approach to the domestic distributor. So you have a first draft, and that's probably what they would need. In case of documentary, you need to have a teaser when you go to a market, because that's a kind of, it's not officially mandatory, but it's everybody's will ask you about some visuals, even more if you're working on documentary than a fiction. And keep working on application for funds for development. Again, money, trying to get on board the money to keep developing the film. Also because every time, sorry, let me see, no. Ah, okay, sorry, I mixed that. Every time that you see the script writer, for instance, writing something, you should ideally pay the script writer. So also money are involved. Okay, then in case you don't have it, it might be the moment to look for a director. Of course, this is something that you usually already have attached since the very beginning, or you have already done somehow. But it might happen, again, for the development funds, it's good if you have it, but it's still okay if you, I mean, it's not really mandatory to have a director, but of course, this is the moment in which you choose if the project is not coming from him, and you really want to work, for instance, with one director. It's probably time to, you know, to close the relationship, to close the agreement with the director. The script writer, it's ideally working on the script, and you have to finalize the choice of the director. And you start with him or with her, you start scouting, more than scouting, you start probably thinking about an ideal cast. Again, because you need to start visualizing, you know, this film, and to let all other people know what you're aiming for. So it's probably the moment in which you can start thinking and try, especially if you want a big name, or if you really have built one character on a real actor that you have in mind, or your script writer or director have in mind since the very beginning. Once you have something more concrete, it's probably the moment for try to get in touch with him or with her, and to get them on board. And to start the location scouting. Again, probably to build a teaser, or any way to give people the ideal visuals that you are working on. Let's say that we have done previously the funds for application. This is the moment in which, and we got it. this is the moment in which we got the first payment for development fund. This means that all the procedures that we have seen till now and the participation, I don't know, paying the script writer, participation to festivals, most of the time is an investment of the producer. So it's the very risky part of the production side to decide to go out there anyway, without yet knowing if we will get any money for this, for the development of this film. So it's not something that we will start developing when we get the first money. On the contrary, the producers keeps the full risk of the beginning of the development. Very often already paying the option of a subject and start paying maybe the script writer, or in any case you can do agreements with them, but going to festivals has a cost, to markets has a cost, of course, for the producers. But as you see, the first payment is coming kind of later. And keep working on website, on socials. This is according to the topic of your film. Start thinking about production budget. Again, now we have had the chance to test the project in the market and to see what is working, what is not working, and which kind of film we are doing, it mostly in terms of budget in this sense. Again, are we doing a film of 100,000 or 200,000 euros, or are we doing a 1 million euros film? And shooting schedule in the sense that it might happen that people in the markets during the pitching will ask you, when do you plan to shoot? Just because you, according to your timeline, the timeline that you ideally have done at the beginning, or the producers has to do at the beginning, you may say, okay, I will dedicate a couple of years to the development, let's see, or I won't be able to shoot anyway before, I don't know, the end of 2021 or something. So this is a question that may be done very often during the pitching forum. And the acquisition of rights of book or subjects. Again, this is a legal things. Then you might have noticed the difference between option before as a first step and acquisition here. The option is something less binding, so you give yourself a period of time, 1 or 2 years, to test the story and see if this is working and is going to be produced. And if you decide to go into production, you have it here, the acquisition, that costs more than the option. So it's a raise of money. Again, it's important that you know that there is an option acquisition, but it's something that we want to discuss now. And the script writer keeps working on the script. Then in the moment in which you are sure, let's say, to produce this film, it's time to have the director's agreement. So you don't do that when you are still trying to understand if you will be capable or not to, or ideally you shouldn't, to produce your film, but you work on, but once you know that the film will be done, you create a director's agreement. And probably you have already done your teaser, your promo, you have already done some shootings to be used in markets or with partners. And again, keep working on marketing package. So on the dossier that you keep updating your material every time that you do a new market, because every time, also according to the feedback that you have had in the previous market, you will probably need to add something or to adjust something. So you keep working on that package. And working on the financing plan, not only now on the development financing plan, but the production financing plan. So the full cost of the film and the full strategy of the, to find money to the production, to the shooting of the film. And keep working, keep going to market for the co-productions. now it's probably time to start working. You are in the advanced stage of development, and you don't need anymore to apply, let's say, to development funds, but it's probably the moment in which you start applying for production funds. Okay, national or regional, but these are production funds. And it's keep going, working with broadcasters, with the distributors, with sales agents. So you have a teaser, you have some visuals, you have a script at the third stage, or anyway, something that is convincing. You can keep working with them and trying to let them know the project and keep having feedbacks. Presentation again to the domestic distributors. And if you plan to shoot in few months or even more, it's the time to involve film commission, to start working on facilities, or to make a concrete plan for the production. You are still developing it, you are still waiting for the confirmation of money, but it's again, you are giving shape, you know, to your film. So it's important to understand which kind of facilities from film commission or film center you may have. And in the same time, keep working on the script. Let's say that all your participation to markets have brought you to a co-production. So you decided to get along with other partners, other producers, and it's time to work on the co-production agreement. That sometimes may be needed for national funds. So sometimes you need to advance this according to your funds. But again, you sign a co-production agreement once you know for sure that that the film will be done, will be produced. And you start having responses from national funds, broadcaster, distributors, responses from funds or feedback from the others. Then let's say that you have, you are missing one small part of it. There is a co-production fund called Eurimage, and you can apply as gap financing. It means that you can have, they give you up to 17%, so they give you just part of the money, but you need to demonstrate that at least half of the rest of the budget is covered, and it has to be an international co-production. So that's something that's, let's say, it's the last production funds, the co-production funds that you have before the shooting. So this is the moment to apply to Eurimage, and you have the shootings. You finally have you enter into production itself. So as I was mentioning, you see all colors. Then if this could be somehow interesting or good for you, I can leave all this slide to you. But you see all the element and all the issues involved in the development. You have seen that this full timeline, it's actually related to the development. So we basically stop right before the shoot with the shootings. This helps you to understand that you know, the process of the development, it's the key one, because it's where you put all things in place to be capable to really enter into production, making sure that your film will have the financial support that deserves, and ideally also a distribution. Even if not already attached, which happens very, very often, at least you have some doors open that will allow you during the shooting to keep working with sales, with distributors. The producer, they keep going to markets also during the shooting or right after the shooting. So it's not something that they will end with the start of the set. They will keep working, but at least they have already, you know, some contacts. They know that they're waiting for somebody is waiting already for the rough cut. And you have noticed also how in this ideal timeline and chronology, all the departments, all the elements, they need to work together. So that's why, unfortunately, it's not possible for a producers to wait the inspiration of a scriptwriter or a director to shoot something. because it's every step has to be done at in the right moment. That could be different. Again, I can show you a kind of real timeline that we have done with a co-production with Lithuania. That keep in mind that the average European time for the development, it's for the production of a film, is more or less between 3 and 5 years. So it takes usually longer than some script writers or directors they think. So this is exactly because of that. You don't usually immediately jump into the shooting, but it's, you know, it's a long time before that. I will show you this very quickly, and it's something that I have put it here. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So we started thinking about the idea in June 2014. So you will see, I will go very, very fast, but it starts more or less from the same time and chronology that you have seen. And it goes in a different way because we knew that in January we had the first development application. Before that, we were not ready because we were not ready with the subject, with the outline. So then we decided to do the writer's contract after the application because we needed basically to know if we got or not that amount of money, because in that moment the company couldn't really invest in writers. And we got we made the application in January and we got the answer in April. It was quite, unfortunately, a little bit longer than we thought. And we kept working in May 15th with the treatment. So you see that we got the outline by the end of 2014, but the first treatment we had to wait more than 5 months, you know, to get it. Then we worked on the revised treatments and work on preliminary budget. We're talking about development also. Then research director. This actually, in this film, we had the director since the very beginning, but at certain point he withdrew his participation. He had a proposal with a big company that he couldn't say no, and so he just left us without too much pain. And so we had to research for a director, unfortunately. You see, we are in September 15 and we started this in June 14. So more than 1 year after the starting of the development, we found ourselves as a production company without a director. And at the same time, we were doing research of director and co-producer. Anyway, but we managed to solve it, we made it. So then we put it in a contract. We had the first draft of the script. We kept doing development application and having some funds. Here we managed to have the director on board. It was the confirmation 2 years after, but basically here we managed to get the agreement. We managed to have the agreement with him. Then we decided to do the media application again. Actually, we tried media application the year before, but we didn't get the support. So, and there were some weak points, and the fact that the director withdrew his participation, it's also a sign of it, actually. But we worked again with the new director and with the new application, and we got it the second time, the second year, and we keep working on the second draft of the script. Then we decided to go on with the co-production development deal with some potential co-producer people to get, because we didn't feel to have enough space to have already a co-production agreement. We were not sure to get enough money for the production. So we decided to do a development co-production agreement instead of co-production agreement itself. So we had some paper signed with potential co-producers, but giving us space to close the deal in case we didn't get funds. We got media funds and we kept working on the script. Then right after that, we start working on the cast and crew list that we already had in mind, of course, since the very beginning. But in any case, it's we start approaching, let's say, potential actors, and actually here we start also approaching a potential crew. We were aiming to have a specific DOP that we liked a lot, and it was not easy to reach him. So it's you know, it's also something that you have your wish list also in terms of crew. So it's you have to find the right moment to approach him. And we decided to wait a little bit to be a little bit more sure to have something that could be good for him for that. Then we start working. Of course, it's not that we start here being financed and working on the financing plan, but here it was more concrete. It was our plan A probably, but it was much easier, you know, to have a reliable financing plan. And we signed the co-production agreement. Then working on budget scheduling, working on distributors, pre-sales, you know, all these more technical things that you do, letter of intent or interest from cast and crew, because we were preparing the national funding application for us and for the co-producer. We decided we didn't do that. The crowdfunding, at the end we didn't do that, but we were planning to have it. And as here, those are all tentative that we were doing, you know, with the regional funds or the application, tax incentive, some sponsor, advertising, VOD. We didn't manage to get sponsor advertising at VOD, but in any case, it's something that we were planning to do between June 17 and the end of the month, basically. So to dedicate half months of the preparation of shootings and script, and at the same time working, you know, on this different step. So the final script and the budget, the Eurimage application, then we managed to get it. It was quite painful because we had to wait much longer than we thought to present it, but we made it. And we got the funding. Likely Eurimage, it's pretty fast in giving answer to be a production fund. And when we got the final yes from Eurimage, we said, okay, we have enough money to cover the full set, let's say. So we green lighted the project in June 2018, so 4 years after the idea, the beginning of working on this project. Then we worked on the pre-production, the shooting, and the wrap, and when we closed it at the end of the year. All this came later, in the sense that it was something planned that didn't really fit with what happened. As you will see, this happened. I mean, this is going on till 2021, but basically already before the shooting, we were trying, you know, to get in touch with the people from Cannes, from Toronto, Venice, and so on. This is just a plan of what we were trying to do. Of course, we didn't manage. No, we made Cannes in a side session, but we didn't manage to do anything of other these things. But you see that we were planning. This was the ideal situation to have the sales peak in September of next year. Something that had its first that was born ideally in 2014. So you see how long it could be. And the part that fit somehow with the reality was written and rewritten several times, because of course, you know, media was a big disappointment for us, because we were really hoping to get that development fund that would have been made fast all the production, but sometimes it just happens that you don't get it, like every fund, and you need to rethink to everything, and including the directors, as you have seen. So I think that you had enough for today. I hope this was somehow, I hope to have been able to give you an overview of the market and how you need to play somehow, and to be attention to take care of every element involved. So I won't bother anymore you for today with this. If you have any kind of question or any, any feedback, also tomorrow, I know that you have a lot to digest. Tomorrow we will go a little bit more technical in the sense that to give you more scheme that you ideally could follow, more concrete information. My aim for today was to let you in somehow the language and the scheme of the international market and how to start thinking when you meet some other professional, and to think of yourself that you are part of this process. So it's an important part of the process. So never underestimate yourself and what you are doing, but just the question is of timing and trying to be professionals for all time that you are playing basically the game. Do you have any question?
No questions, Alessandra. Thank you so much for this information. Finally, the precise picture in my head.
Good.
Of the process.
That's very good. That's very good. No, okay, yeah. And again, I will give Sal and Anna all this information. I mean, that's material that it could be. I am ready to share them for you, so you can keep it if you need it. Anna, what do you think? You have no microphone. Unfortunately, your microphone is off. You need. We don't.
Oh, sorry. Yes. No, I'm just saying thank you very much. I was listening, and it's you structured it so well. So I hope it's the structure is also in the heads of our participants now. They have really a lot of to digest, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Right. Yes, thank you so much. I mean, it's very well.
Staying here the full time, so we will see again tomorrow here, same channel at the same time. And unless you have now some question that you feel could be good to answer. Okay, no worries. We will start tomorrow with some questions. So if there is something that comes into your mind, just take it there, and tomorrow, after a good night of sleep, you will probably be more open to share. Okay. So thank you again. Thank you, Asel, for the full support.
You're welcome.
And we
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Увидимся все завтра. Спасибо всем. До завтра. Я вам скинула всем ссылку на завтрашний день.
Спасибо.
Спасибо. Ждем завтра. До свидания. Так, как мы теперь... Ися, завершить конференцию, а сохранить? Она же автоматически должна была.
Он достоин был, да, красоты, которая в этом находится.
Нет, ну у него не только красота, у него был
достоин этих девушек.
У него был голос, который мог писать такие вещи любому министерству.